Voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
Good evening. It's Monday, the 15th day of September 2025. Tomorrow, of course, is National Heroes Day. And on Friday, it's the 42nd anniversary of independence. So you can call this program or Independence Edition. We'll talk nationhood, we'll talk leadership, we'll talk sovereignty, and of course the hottest talking point on the radio, television, and social media circuit, SSZ legislation. With us tonight, the caretaker for constituency number 5, the great parish of St. Thomas's, Big Ronalds. Good evening, Rohan.
Good evening, Steve. Good evening to our listeners. It's good to be back.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. My rotation seems to have fallen on days when there were either holidays or, of course, we did take the break for Culturama. And I think on one of those Mondays I was celebrating my wedding anniversary. So
good for you.
Yeah, but it's good to be back as always to have a little chit chat about what is happening currently in our space. I just want to begin with greetings to the wonderful people of Nevis 5 St. Thomas's, and I just want to say to you that I am here, and I am still here, ready and willing to listen and to hear your concerns and your issues as we continue to amplify your voice. To all regular listeners and our regular viewers, good night to you. It's been a minute. Hopefully we can have a good discussion tonight. Those who are celebrating birthdays and anniversary, happy birthday, and congratulations on your anniversary. Best wishes to you moving forward. I want to say happy birthday in advance to my son, who will turn 7 on the 22nd of September. So next week, Monday, I think, would be his 7th birthday, and he has laid out his laundry list of wishes for his birthday. So
well, why not?
We'll see how that goes. Congratulations and best wishes to our students, our teachers, and our parents on the return to the classroom for the 2025-2026 academic year. And I just want to extend God's continued grace and guidance to all, wishing everyone an outstanding 2025 and 2026 school year. That's my opening for tonight. I guess we get into some of the things. I mean, over the weekend, it's Independence Week. September. Man, it's September. The year's flying by quickly. And we try to do a little community work, community spirit, community pride, and so on. Saturday, we took a casual walk from the craft house to the Anglican Church in St. Thomas's and did a little collection of garbage in between those two places. Fortunately, unfortunately, we managed to collect some 10 bags of garbage along the way. It was a good walk, good exercise. I want to thank the members who came out and assisted in that. And then yesterday we journeyed to Barnesgate and had Independence Worship with the Faith in Christ Ministries led by Pastor Sheila Hanley. It was good to be in the house of God and fellowship with our colleagues and our constituents, and so we had service there. This Saturday should have been our Sunday, but we've had to postpone that to sometime later in October. Quite a bit is happening over the weekend. We kind of selfish, we want the attention to be just ours, but the other things, and so we have decided to push that back. We are particularly happy and pleased to announce the 2025 J.W. Parry Lecture. And we're hoping that will be an annual event. I reached out to the former Premier, who was positive in his reaction to the idea, and we had floated ideas to do it in September, and in conversation with him, he as usual, offer the solid advice. We want something of substance, and so give it some time. And so, first week in November, I think is the weekend. I think it's the Friday. We'll be having the very first of what we hope to be a long legacy, the J.W. Parry lecture. And so we're looking forward to that. And that is something as I said, we are very happy about. He has identified the featured speaker. We'll share that a little later, and the general theme of what is supposed to happen. It would be good to, as usual, to hear from him as well. So, J.W. Parry lecture, that is on the cards for this year, and moving forward. Just want to put a plug here that the General Council of the party is on the 21st of this month. So that is this Sunday coming at occasions, and so just a lead up to our convention, but that is in General Council is.
Well, thank you for that, and congratulations in doing such great work to get the J.W. Parry lecture series on the way.
Yeah.
I have long advocated for the premiership of Nevis to have a signature event. There's no signature event. As a matter of fact, there's no signature event from any of the two lead officials in Nevis, neither the Premier or the Deputy Governor General. In St. Kitts, they had last week, Wednesday, the 27th edition of the Prime Minister's Lecture Series, which means it started around 1998, which would mean that Prime Minister Denzel Douglas, followed by Prime Minister Timothy Harris, and now by Prime Minister Terence Drew. And as I said, Nevisians too need some intellectual stimulation, and no Nevision Premier has ever brought anything like that, and I've been advocating for years for that to happen. Similarly, the Governor General in St. Kitts had a very wonderful, I think that was in 2024. I attended the inaugural one at the Marriott, where she was raising money for music, etc. And it was a fantastic event. I missed the 2025 edition. I believe that figures like those, Prime Minister and Premier and Deputy Governor General and Governor General, should have a platform, and that they should promote something. The first Governor General, Mr. Paris, came at a time when computers were just coming in. And so his mantra was computer education. Since then, we have never had any significant mantra coming from subsequent Deputy Governor Generals. And as I said, from the Premiership, we have never had it on Nevis. So I'm going to advocate again. Rohan Alves is leading the way in having a JWP lecture series, and it's time for the Premiership of Nevis to bring something substantial to the people. I listened to the lecture on Wednesday, Willa Liber Tavernier, and her main theme was information powers our world, and that we should own our story. And it was a very powerful presentation. At the same time, of course, the Premier was in Nevis dealing with the pressing matters of the day, trying to recover after falling badly behind in the storyline dealing with the SSZ legislation. He didn't even seem to ask his Deputy Premier, or the other member in the Parliament, Alexis Jeffers, to attend. So Nevis didn't seem to have a presence, but I know once you start the lecture series, that will be coming pretty soon. So we're into independence. Unionists. And so, in a way, the first segment of our program is going to deal with the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And as I said, we look at things like nationhood, leadership, vision, sovereignty. And then a little later, we'll turn to the SSZ legislation. For all intents and purposes, Rohan, you are an independence baby. You grew up with independence. Mm-hmm. You've seen the changes, you've seen the setbacks. What is your assessment of the state of the Union, the state of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis?
Wow. Yeah, independence baby, as you would say, October 6th. What can I say, Steve? We have seen the evolution in certain respects. We have seen how we have moved from a more or less a traditional time when things were black and white, mostly. Mm-hmm. And we have come into an era where the Gen Zs are the ones who carry the torch, carry the mantle. And in some respects, yet still there is this gap between what was and what is. We have seen how our economies have grown, and one can say they are growing at different rates. We can remember, those of us who have either heard of it or lived it, what the Nevisian economy was like, compared to a kitchen economy around the same time, and how things seemingly have reversed in current times. What I found interesting is that in all of this, we sought independence together, but yet we seem to be moving separate and apart in terms of gaining certain things with respect to our citizens. Our economic thrusts are not the same. Our tourism mandates are not the same. We look at our desire for green-powered economies, and it's almost as if it's you can do it, so I will do it. I'm not getting that sense that we are really truly doing things together that are ultimately seeking to benefit all of our people. I will not say that we haven't come a long way. I think Camilla Lawrence had a song that spoke to how far we've come as a people, leaning on God in that particular respect. But there's so much more that we could have attained. And I think we came across a lot of stumbling blocks, mainly through politics. Politics on St. Kitts, politics on Nevis, politics in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we have always had, unfortunately, that St. Kitts versus Nevis. For some reason, we can't even now get past that particular divide. We still have this. It's this when it's St. Kitts, and it's St. Kitts Nevis when it is that. And as Nevisians, we are the ones who seem to carry the burden of always having to be seen within the relationship. And so, when you look at how we've grown, where we've come from, the question, and the theme is fitting, is what is the future holding for us as a people? And when I say as a people, I mean as Kittitians and Nevisians, not people born and living on St. Kitts and people born and living on Nevis. If you understand what I mean in terms of the separation. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? Is it a case where we're going to get there together because we have that single purpose of mind that we are stronger together? Or are we going it alone? This is a St. Kitts thing, and this is how we are going to go forward, or this is a Nevis thing? Because we sell a lot about independence. But are we truly in that same space where we can say the young boy in St. Peter's has the same opportunity as the young boy in Brown Hill, or in Gingerland and Tabernacle, or in Connery and Barnes, are the opportunities truly the same in the space that is St. Kitts and Nevis? Or is it that we are saying, listen, St. Kitts has a responsibility for St. Kitts and Nevis has a responsibility for Nevis, and so wherever you go and wherever you get there, that is totally up to you. And I can understand the autonomy, but isn't it better if we are singing the same song from the same book, understanding that we achieve more together rather than apart? We've had different styles of leadership in the past 42 years, both in St. Kitts and in Nevis, and we have seen those who are far right in the ideologies, those who are left in the ideologies, those who are central in the ideologies. And we have seen people come to the fore who lead with an honest heart, really putting people first. That is the ultimate platform. Whatever we do is solely and honestly for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and that is how they have operated. And so we can see how progress has changed Nevis based on who was leading Nevis. The same thing for St. Kitts. And so after 42 years, Steve, the question is, have we done enough? Are we doing enough? When we look at our exposure to resources, when we look at our talents, when we look at the human capital that we would have had, have we really, can we really say that in the period 42 years we would have taken full advantage of all of those things? Or are we still punishing ourselves because of politics? Or are we punishing the nation because of politics? Politics really was it. The whole idea was to give good experiences. That is why you and I vote, so that our life experiences can be positive ones. And nationhood and independence from what we were told growing up, the selfless service and sacrifice of the men who traveled to England to get an ear as to why we should be an independent country. That should be in itself a lesson strong enough for us as the servants of the people and of citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis to say, this is what they sacrifice. Let us not have that be in vain, and that our actions are individualistic and tribalistic, and so we really ought to be looking at using the best that we have, ensuring that our people have free access to opportunities, and that whatever we are doing as a nation, that the majority of our people are benefiting. If we are not doing that, then all the things we stand and shout about, everything we sing about as it relates to St. Kitts and Nevis, really isn't worth much, because the majority of our people are not benefiting from those things. And so, we do a lot in celebrate independence, and we should, because it means a lot to us. Let our actions meet those desires of our young people to have equal opportunities, the desires of our older people to be able to say, I've lived through a good time based on circumstances and the situations that we had. And so celebrate nationhood, we celebrate independence, but I want for us to be more than just having nice themes and grand celebrations and that being it. After the week of independence is done, what has stayed with our people? What is it that they're taking forward to the next independence celebration? What is it that we are building on, that my 7-year role in 42 years can say independence is really an independence here in St. Kitts and Nevis? And so we celebrate the good things, and we look to the future with an eye to ensuring that those things that were not so good, we use them as platforms to create great opportunities for our people.
All right. Now, we look at the themes in a while, but you alluded to leadership styles. So let's look at our prime ministers. Kennedy Simmons was the first prime minister and made it his business to come to Nevis. He was here for independence, and even before that. In fact, there was a room at the Pennis Beach Hotel which employees knew as the Simmons Room. That changed when the Four Seasons opened in 1991. Then he stayed at the Four Seasons. The second prime minister seemed to have enjoyed coming to Nevis as well, and Premier Joseph Parry encouraged it. A third, this new prime minister seemed not to like coming to Nevis for official anything. Since the end of March, he has been twice to Abuja, this month to Algeria, then to Ethiopia, a visit to Shashamani, but 3 years and 1 month on has not made an official visit to Nevis. He has not been encouraged by the Premier. I heard the Premier tell callers, oh, well, you can't hear him from St. Kitts. When he talk in St. Kitts, you can't hear him. Well, I'm now trying, and I've been trying for 3 years, and now I'm understanding more clearly why he doesn't want to come to Nevis. But we'll get to that in a moment. But the themes. This year, perpetual progress, a sustainable future in view. Independence 42. And mind you, since Independence 40, they've struck a chord of sustainability. Let's look at Independence 40. Growing sustainably, developing maturely, building resiliency, Independence 40. Last year, not so much so. Together a people, proud and strong, Independence 41. So sustainability is a central theme. Are we making perpetual progress? And is a sustainable future in view?
And that goes back to the very set of questions asked, and you made a point that he has not been to Nevis during his tenure, and it speaks volumes in certain respects. And I can go back to the youngest among us, because I can almost guarantee that more than half of our students don't know our Prime Minister. Know him by name, know the name of the individual. But if he was to show up, primary schools, many would not know who he is.
Let's see his picture on Facebook. They're Facebook junkies.
And I can tell you why I say that, because, they are Facebook junkies. And yet, even in the context of Nevis, a lot of our children don't know who the Premier is. Because, and you know he's the Honorable Mark Brantley. And you've seen pictures of him, but you don't put the two together and say this person is the Honorable Mark Brantley as students, because they're not paying much attention to it, because the interaction isn't there. And if you have a certain number, probably 60, 65, 70% of young people, and remember, I'm going all the way back. So kindergarten, maybe pre-kindergarten, I doubt they'll know who he is. And the whole basis of the future, that sustainable future, that is in view. It must come from someplace. There must be a reason for young people to believe that that is true, that there is that good future, that nice future, that things can be better for them, even at this particular age. Because we assume that because they're only 8 and 9, but believe me, you call them social media junkies, you'll be amazed at the things that they pick up on, and the things that they know. And it is really for us as adults to begin to put that in their space so that they get an understanding. We can't assume that they'll by the time they're 15, 16, that they'll have that great understanding. And I think that is part of the problem. We assume they have all the time in the world, and probably that goes to how we deal with patriotism, and what our students and what our young people understand patriotism to mean. Separate and apart from the national anthem being played and the standard attention, what does that mean? What is it that you're getting from that? And our young people must be able to see and feel and touch and hear our leaders, our nation's leaders, not just those in navies, but just as they can show up to schools on St. Kitts, they can show up to schools on navies. And we would be surprised as to how much that motivates our young people and the joy that they bring. And I can use an example. I think it was Charlestown Primary School, one year teachers, Granton Collins, who had Sir Kennedy Simmons.
I remember that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you could see, and even from pictures, feel the excitement that the students had from that experience. And to be a part of the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis, these are things that our students must be exposed to. How many of us, even in our age, Steve, has never met a prime minister of St. Kitts and Nevis? Never been across from him to shake his hand or to say hello. How many of us? And that is really a part and parcel for an island this small. We really should be able to have that connection with our leaders. Why is it that the Prime Minister doesn't like to come to Nevis on official business? We can say many things. For him, that is a question he'll have to answer, and he'll have to answer sooner rather than later. But you can't tell the nation that you intend to be a Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, and to, say it glowingly and profoundly, and say it with boldness that you are not just the Prime Minister of St. Kitts, but of St. Kitts and Nevis, and yet Nevis can't feel you. We don't want to. I think it is, as they would say, the actions don't meet the words. And you want us to believe that you, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, then demonstrate that in actions. And I think you're not just. We've heard time and time again people ask, "Come to Nevis and speak to the people," because there is, a lot of people would like to sit here. Like people would like to hear from you and share with you. And again, see, this is part of the growth of independence as a nation. Those three prime ministers you listed before used to be here. They used to come over. As you would have said, there was a room at Penny's, the Simmons room. There is no doubt as to Prime Minister Douglas' interaction and the people's affinity for him here on Nevis. And so that seems to be going a little bit in reverse at this point with this particular Prime Minister. So, as I said, it can't just be wonderful words and themes, but the actions must match that, and people must get a sense that, yes, this is for all of us, St. Kitts and Nevis, and we can truly move forward together with that sustainable future that is in view. We can have a whole conversation of what is the view from a lot of different angles and different perspectives. What is the view for our poor people? What is the view for struggling middle-income earning families? And that is why I said it just can't be great themes and words. What does that mean for ordinary people? And you just said, we've had a lot of sustainability. themes, and I know he has been big on a sustainable island state, but what does that mean for the average Joe? When you say a sustainable island state and a sustainable this and a sustainable that, what are we putting our people in the best possible position that they can say their lives align with the nation's view? And that the country is moving forward in a sustainable way. And as a people, we are doing that as well. Because it is good to tell me that there is wonders on the horizon. You see it, but I can't. And I have no way of seeing it. You're not. The policies and programs don't help me to see it. The actions of the government don't help me to see it. And so we've really got to ensure that whatever we are saying to our people, that our actions are backing those things, and that as a good governance model will call for, at least 3/4 of the country can say, yeah, this isn't just words. I am living. I am living this particular theme.
Yes, let's take this call. Good evening. Welcome to Your Voice with Rohin Az.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night to you folks. Good night to
Good night.
Yeah, lift your voice. Lift your voice a bit.
To Brother Isles.
Good night.
I'm listening to your show. Pretty good so far. I think one of the to my opinion, the situation is young people doesn't seem to have a lot of interest in politics, and I believe with the non-visit of our Prime Minister to Nevis, could maybe play a role in them not showing interest in the what is happening in our country. I remember years gone, I think I would say that the Nevis Island government under the leadership of J.W. Parry, they had a good relationship with him and the former Prime Minister, Douglas. I can recall one day I was in town. I happened to be in town, and I think he came over to visit the burnt treasury. And he passed through, after visiting the treasury, he went walking. He had on a white long sleeve shirt. I remember that. I happened to be in town, and I was close by. And as he passed between the bus stop by the Awali Plaza and the Ginnery Mart, Cotton Ginnery, there was a commotion. And when I look out, people were so excited to see the Prime Minister. He was so welcome. And it draws attention to people, even in the people who are doing their work in the business place and so on. And so that helps, set, to my opinion, set some excitement of seeing our Prime Minister. So I believe, maybe I'm still appealing, that hoping that the Prime Minister, come over, man, come over. People want to know you. I mean, we didn't really vote for you, but at least you are our Prime Minister. You have a message for us. We have a message for you. You can share. I don't understand why he don't come, but I believe that Nevisians had grown to know the former Prime Minister, and in love with him, because I think, like I said, the both island administration had good relationship with each other. So people in Nevis had grown to like that game, So come over, man, come over. We are a part. We are human beings. We are a part. Show the people of the country that, at least, especially Nevis, you have an interest in the affairs of Nevis. Look at the situation. Look at the situation with the hospital. Maybe if he had come, see for himself, never mind, he might just say that, oh, it's an easy thing. But when you have this kind of situation, and you come by, there's very more you can do to help the situation. After all, is our health. Mm-hmm. So, we are one people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to wrap this segment in a bit. But I want to share with you something which must be bothering every person in the Federation, and even more the people of Nevis. On December 14th, 2014, there was a procession from the Red Cross building behind us up to the apron of the courthouse because there was a signing of the Charlestown Accord. That's 11 years ago. The table of fair share, the topic of fair share was on the table. Many of the tenets of the Charlestown Accord dealt with fairness. Of course, there was a falling out of the unity government. Mark Brantley brought down the government on its head. And we can't even say if he has a relationship with Timothy Harris of the PLP or Sean Richards of PAM. I heard him say the other day he would like to hope they're friends. But that government came down and a new government came in which he embraced. At one point he said there's no daylight between the two of them. Well, I'll show you an area where there's perpetual daylight between both of them. On February 6th, Prime Minister Drew announced that he now had possession of the World Bank Fair Share Report. That's 223 days ago, or 7 months. He apparently passed it on as they flew over Abuja in Nigeria to the Prime Minister at the last week in March. And so the Premier has had it for 168 days, 5.5 months. Both governments claim they're open and very transparent. In Nevis, there seem to be only the members of the cabinet who have seen that report, and maybe technocrats, as the Premier say, in the Ministry of Finance. He hasn't shared it with the leadership of the NRP. I haven't heard that he has shared it with the industry, the Chamber and Commerce. I haven't heard that he has shared it with anyone. So there is a big disconnect. The Premier's last press conference, he spoke for 2 hours and didn't tell the Nevision people where we are with that until the very last question by Andre Huey raised the matter. Take a listen.
Yeah, just one other question. Your last press conference, you spoke about the fair share and the update on that. Your statement seemed to have triggered some debate in the Federation as to whether or not Nevis is truly a part of the process. There are some who are even suggesting that the Prime Minister is being dismissive of Nevis and is not really engaging Nevis as it truly should. Could you speak to that, whether or not Nevis is really integrally involved in the process with the World Bank as it relates to fair share? Where are we now, and when can we anticipate some resolution on this?
Thank you, Mr. Huey. The issue has not been as current as I would like it to be, because frankly, we have all been overtaken by other matters. But I don't know whether or not it's dismissive or otherwise. What I will say is what I said then, that Nevis was not a part of the approach to the World Bank. And frankly, and I've said so, and I stand on that, I did not believe that any World Bank involvement was necessary. We can count. And I said it before, that any sixth form student, accountant, could look at the money that's coming in from CBI, say what are the expenses, take away the expenses, and then say this is what is left. Can we divide what is left on a population basis between St. Kitts and Nevis? In fact, if you go way back to the formation of unity and the Charlestown Accord, that was the formula that was put into the Charlestown Accord. And I can tell you that that is one of the proposals, the recommendations that has come from the World Bank. So after all that time and all that effort, we come back to what a sixth form student could have done. So this is no disrespect to the World Bank. They are, of course, an international organization of good repute. But I just felt that there was, since the day of unity and ongoing, a reluctance. I mean, frankly, before unity, a sudden reluctance to engage with this issue. Because it seems to me that there's some who feel, well, boy, as the former Prime Minister, Dr. Harris said, what Nevis want? Them don't get enough. What them want? Every dollar we send up there is $1 less for sink kids. Prime Minister of the country said that. So, we were not involved with the World Bank engagement. Dr. Drew, in his wisdom, decided he would engage the World Bank. And I am not aware that the World Bank had held any meetings with us prior. So that is why I have said to the public that when Dr. Drew shared the World Bank report with me, I did not feel that it was appropriate, Mr. Huey, for me then to take that report and give it out, because it's not my report. I didn't commission it. The NIA was not involved with it. It is a federal government report that was commissioned by the Prime Minister's office and was delivered to his office. I can tell you that my cabinet has met. We have deliberated. Our technical people have completed their analysis, and so it is only for us now to meet at the national level to determine what we're going to do about the fair share going forward. But that is the case. What would have motivated the PM or not motivated him, you'd have to ask him that. I would not know that. Right? I would not know that. I don't know that he intended to be dismissive. I don't know if what he did was dismissive. I can only speak to what is. And the reality is that Nevis was not involved in that whole World Bank report.
Let's take this call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Steve, good night.
Good night.
And your guest.
Rohan Adams, yeah?
Right.
Well, no. Sounding good. Young boy on the block. I pray that you all put in the work and get the rid of that snake. He's a real snake, Mark. He's proving himself as a real snake. Now, Steve, I want to say two things. Rohan make a statement, and it's for years in the Court of Conscience, Cecil Roberts University. We've been saying that. Every prime minister, when independence comes, should pay a visit to Nevis, all the schools, and think it's a Nevis. The next thing I want to talk about is the coming over there to Nevis and talking to Nevision. This is where the bigger snake in Sinkit said when he get the leadership at Sinkit and Nevis. He said he gonna be coming to Nevis more often. But Rohan, let me say something to you. You know why here want come? You know why here want come?
Tell me.
When my family, Steve, Carly, host the dinner for El Camino village. Steve, you can remember where he said? He gonna situate that village there, Anna. But these guys is snakes. And we gonna get rid of them, you know. Because we gonna show them. Janice got leadership. I see it, you know. Journey as well, and the other one Batley. When we gonna sweep, if you think about the election call tomorrow, this is where you get. But I'm warning you all divisions. Whenever Janice decide to come down here in that demonstration, come out and support her. Because I done chomping it up down here. We're going to get rid of all of them. And both Sinkis and Nevis. And I ask the political party, them, you know, to put aside the animosity and support what's going on in Sinkis Nevis with this land. We're going to straighten them out. with the wicked, nasty behavior when they bring into St. Kitts and Nevis. Sit down here buy land expensive from landowners and sell to Nevis people cheap. And vagabond linking with people who ain't got nothing to do with St. Kitts and Nevis. Want to come and take land yourself and getting involved. Steve, have a good night. Wahan, you're so nice. And make sure when the soon to be premier says she coming back here, I want to meet you. You make sure you come back here.
All right.
I only make it over there because I had some work to do on the southeast and I couldn't lose it because they're coming hard at me.
Okay.
We don't back down.
All right.
We don't back down. Have a good night.
Okay.
Listening, you all.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to wrap this segment in a bit, but I'll give you a chance to respond to what the Premier said about fair share. Is the disconnect getting wider?
Yeah, I mean,
as a matter of fact, let's take this call. Good evening. Caller, welcome to Your Voice.
Good evening, Mr. Manners and to Rohan.
Good night.
Yes, let me tell something to you, all right?
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says, whosoever is deceived by strong drink is not wise.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen the leader. I have never seen Mr. Parry drink Culturama up and down with Guinness and so in his hand. I've never seen Kennedy Simmons doing that. But what I've noticed recently is our leaders drinking in public. Oh, there was this little child once I used to look after. And the child went home and told his mother when they went to shop, see the drinks and they were flashing us drink. Mm. And the mother called me and tell me, and I stopped drinking alcohol the same day. Mm. You may tell the children watching the examples of these leaders, but these leaders don't care. The Premier don't say he don't want to be the role model for nobody. Alcohol is what mashing up the federation when it comes to politicians and leadership. Mm. These politicians drink too much alcohol in public, in front of young people. And it's disrespectful for me as a person who trying to turn my life around. I can't respect or honor people who dishonor themselves. It doesn't matter what office them hold. So as long as them guys on drinking alcohol, may I tell the leader if I'm happy, not got nothing to do with them people there. Don't belittle yourself just to be called with them. Stay far from them drunkards, them, I tell you. Them not good influence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Rohan, your response?
You know, Steve, in 2022, my main issue with the fair share was that it was used as an emotional argument. And I believe that every good intent could have come from that argument, because every division solely is deserving of a fair share, right? But I think the problem is it was used just to rile up people, to make that emotional pitch. Or again, and you know, Steve, we go back to where we going as a nation when you're using arguments like these that we know are very close and dear and personal to people for political gain. And if you look now, you can see that was the case. Because if it was a serious argument, why wasn't codified? Mm-hmm. You made an agreement with a political party and left it at that for 7 years. You never advanced a legislative agenda based on the articles of the Charleston Accord. Because as far as you were concerned, maybe you thought that it was a lifetime appointment under Team Unity to be in government. But really and truly is that you simply felt, and the end result is testament to that thought process. Listen, I hold the arm of power. And if I don't get the fair share, remember he said? He says resolve, or dissolve. And see, here we are. We have gone through the ringers of an international organization of great standing financially, who would have shared what they shared. And I think what is in there, without having any close to what is in there, our options neither suits what Nevis was seeking in terms of fair share. I was particular to hear him say that there was a suggestion in there by the World Bank in terms of taking out the expenses and sharing what was left. But I want to believe there is something else added on to that. Because when you look at how St. Kitts and Nevis operates, there are certain international obligations that are paid for by the federal government. If an argument is made that those commitments are paid from funding through the CBI, then what happens? If we are going to take out just the expenses and then share, is it a case where Nevis will now have to put in their fair share of those obligations? When you look at some of the social programs that are being paid for, and we can almost say that they're being paid for through the receipts of the CBI program, is it a case that if that is so, and you're getting your full share of the fair share, then you now must pick up the cost of those social programs? And so I think in there may be some things that the Premier doesn't see or seem to agree with. I mean, he goes back to the face value argument of, listen, just take out the expenses, we share whatever the profits are. But there was a constitutional arrangement in the Constitution for revenue sharing. We walked away from that. Near $91 million at some point. And it seems for me, it's as if this government keep walking away from things that are good for Nevis in practice, looking for other things where emotions are attached so that Nevisians can say, oh, this ain't happening and that ain't happening. And again, we go back to independence. What does it mean for us as a people if we cannot head to the same destination hand in hand? And this is always going to be an issue, and that is why I keep saying it can't all be wonderful themes and words put together when we know behind that we are facing these kind of things. Now we are saying, and there's always an add-on. The report hasn't been released, and we haven't seen the report, and our technocrats had nothing to do with it, and we didn't commission it. It's not my report to give. But it involves the people you're leading. Share what is in there. Pitch your argument to us. Let us say, listen, we agree with what you're saying, and we are willing to walk with you on this particular journey because you have been transparent, you have been accountable, you have been responsive, and you have engaged participation. Pillars of the good governance agenda.
9:25, and we are switching gears. The SSC.
A hero, not true, just spreading bedons around. He come with big smile, but his heart full of greed. Selling out we lands while his friends take the lead. The pimple papa sit at his side, counting she gains. Land grabbing by sharing out ancestral remains. 3,800 acres gone out the door. How could have caused this? We can't take no more. Fool me once, that shame on you. Fool me twice, a shame on me too. Nearly 20 years, this tricks the play we saw. We get fool, and still they want more. How could have caused this? How could have caused this? Robin Hood in blue, not a hero for true. He raping with future, selling out we land. Prim gun, mad. Can't understand how caused this. How could have caused this? Room for 10,000 friends, none tied to the sand. Poor man cry, we can't take no more. How could have caused this? Tell me what we voting for. Prime Minister, them cabinet crew. How you fall for the scam, how you ain't got a clue. Web up on his show, nearly lose his mind. Robin Hood in blue says progress you find. But the poor man, hungry belly, empty house, there where Dr. Drew, Dr. Douglas, Dr. Harris, Dr. Kennedy, you're there. Integrity Commission only good for some name, while the rich them prosper, the poor stay the same. Serious question left unanswered. Who the realtor, who the lawyer, who the sponsor? What the SSC Prim say it's good, but only good for your family, not for your neighborhood. Our could have caused this, our could have caused this. Robin Hood in blue, not a hero for true. He raping with future, selling out we land. Prim gone mad, mad, mad. Can't understand. Our could have caused this, our could have caused this. Room for 10,000 friends, none tied to the sand. Poor man cry, we can't take no more. Our could have caused this. Tell me what we voting for. The story unfold, land slip through with fingers, ancestor bones cold. Dr. Daniel Bambino, Stevens in the grave, they ball while bad company rise, good character fall. First Corinthians 1, the corruption they near, but the prim only listen when the prophets appear. 20 years we suffer, 20 years we shame. Robin Hood in blue play the same old game. Children cry, generations lose hope. Blue Robin laughing as he tie up the rope. We future in peril, our voices ignored. Pride make promises, but the family adored. Our could have caused this, our could have caused this. Who got save Nevis, who battle in this caused this? Our could have caused this. Robin Hood in blue, not a hero for true. He raping with future, selling out we land. Prim gone mad, mad, mad. Can't understand could have caused this. Our could have caused this. Room for 10,000 friends, not tied to this land. Poor man cry, we can't take no more. Our could have caused this. Tell me what we voting for.
Robin Hood in Blue by a creative. Now the premier has been very busy out there. Story got out of control. Say he took sick up in Martha's Vineyard. So he come back and trying to reel it in. So many people have been adding their voices to this SSZ legislation. Of course, over the weekend I saw a middle-aged Englishman, first name Matthew, said he has generational ties. Let's take this call. Good evening. Welcome to Your Voice with Rowan Isles.
Mr. Manners, good night.
Good night, good night.
Good night.
Rowan Isles.
Good night, good night.
Are you still rowing through the Isles of... Well, me say pick up garbage and so forth and so, but you know, you still have to row through the Isles of St. Thomas.
Yes, yes.
And when you row through the Isles, listen to me. Nobody said the house say, I want to see him house, you know. One of the yard, you know. Attack. You get me?
Yes, absolutely.
No skip no house. No skip no house at all, right?
Yep.
I listen, when I think the other day, I may say, you know, if God will, because, you know, many times I will plan out of God will, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, it's God will. And the time should come on here. Minister Isles. You know, you can't get me right. Because whether you go up the aisle or down the aisle or across the aisle, you can't hide from the people.
That's true.
Right? Exactly. Mr. Manners?
Hi, what's up?
That means, you know, me listen to the last update. They asked the premier about this issue Wednesday, you know.
I listen to all the programs, man. I hear you. You're asking some good questions. But you know, you got to call in earlier because sometimes the music strikes up when an important question is being asked. You understand? Yeah, they closed you out last week, man.
Well, if on defense, if on high defense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, nothing about no face shape for right now, yeah?
Well, he's put that on the back burner. He's thrown it back to Prime Minister Drew. It's in his court.
Yeah, nothing more no face shape for right now. But give me a little update coming up on social media. So give me a little up before you climb your run to this. Give me a little update what took place Friday afternoon.
Over to Ron Alves. He'll tell you.
Okay, no problem.
Sure.
Okay then.
All right, thank you.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, see, for those who didn't catch it, on Friday we held a peaceful protest and rally. Of course, we invited all walks across Nevis, whether you supported CCM, NRP, no political party. We believe that it was important for us to send a particular message as it relates to the current SSZ, and to hear from people who are willing to share what their concerns were with regards to that particular bill or law, as we understand it has been gazetted. And so the members of the party who were given the opportunity to spoke. The party leader and chairman of the party, the current chairman of St. Paul's, Dr. Daly, Lady J.D. Keynes, and myself, we took 10 minutes to share what our thoughts were on different parts of the impact that is being felt across Nevis. And then we also heard from Rasai Roy, who shared a powerful message in terms of what land meant or means to our people, and it was a good rally, and we shared some songs that emanated some messages with regards to land and so on, and so that really was the intent and purpose, really, so that people understand that we are very serious about the particular mission we are on. I mean, I did say on Friday that the mission really is to ensure that there is a Nevis for Nevisians, and then the NRP had a clear vision for what they wanted to do in that respect. We are not anti-development. We have never been that, and the record speaks for itself. And we have said, people have a fundamental right to do what they want with their property, and what we're simply saying is to be mindful of the value that is placed on land. I mean, some people own 10, 5, 8 acres. I mean, if you want to sell 5, 6 of that 10, but to part with all of it may not be the best decision at this moment. And when you consider all that is being said or not said, all that is being hidden, all that is being uncovered with respect to why there is this great push to acquire land in that area, it really has a cause for concern. And so on Friday we spoke to the people, and hopefully in time to come we'll speak to the people again, not to burden but to educate and to give our people the best possible avenue for making sound decisions.
Okay, now before we got those calls, I was saying that a middle-aged Englishman, first name Matthew, spoke for about 8 minutes. Lives in the UK apparently, but has generational ties to Nevis. He wanted to know what the hell are we doing down here. Rasmuntu, he was in the studio with Carlisle before this program, and he has devoted a poem to this land issue. And even a man of God on St. Kitts waiting on the issue over the weekend. Listen.
When before that was their concern.
I think I don't have it from the start, so let's see what's happening here.
When before that was their concern.
All right, I want you to go ahead while I cue this up. So I'm happy that you pointed out that the rally was non-political. Everybody was invited, and it's important that it is all hands on deck in this particular matter. Let's see if I've got that tape properly queued up.
Some of us have become so thirsty that we are willing to sell the clothes off our back for one drop of water. And you know what is troublesome? Our people sometimes encourage us to do that. Now, let me give you an example. There was a piece of land next to a piece of land that I owned. And I boarded it on one end, and another resident of the community boarded it on the other end. It came to my attention that the resident that boarded it on the northern side wanted to buy it, and the owner was willing to sell. I went to the owner and I said, in as much as I would love to have your land, do not sell it. Do not sell it. He said, Pastor, I said, let me tell you something. You had to be drop dead in need. And even then, don't sell it. Leverage it at the bank, but keep it. Do not sell it. I said, I would not come to you because I know if I come to you, you will sell me. But I'm not going to do that. And instead, we instruct our people on how to build an empire. We allow them to sell their birthright for a mess of pottage, a glass of wine, a game, and they travel on. And the future generations have nothing to show for it because of desperation. And we then, in my mind, must ensure that there is a new realism that is taught and actioned into our society. It must be clearly taught and actioned into society so that our people understand, man, that tomorrow the circumstances may change. You hold on to what you have. You may not be able to develop that land, but you inculcate in your children or grandchildren that when my eyes close and they put me in Springfield Cemetery, my spirit will hover over this property, and you prophesy over them. You're going to have a big business right here because they can accomplish so much more with the education and the exposure that they have, but you leave them empty-handed and squander your birthright. And it's imperative that we have leaders who are concerned, because those who went before, that was their concern.
Profound words. Pratchett.
Indeed.
Sim Daniel.
Yeah.
Land is our birthright.
It is. It is. Definitely is. I saw the clip and you know, as you said, powerful message, and I think that is what the rally was intended to do, and hopefully that.
Let's take this call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, good evening.
The lands are sold, and there's nothing we could do about it. But the deception is what is my concern. The Premier had a chance to explain to us what was happening before it happened. Now it is gazetted. That, I think, means it is the law. What is he going to say to us? What changes can be made now? Because it is what it is. Dr. Bartlett outlined some concerns, and I listened because I don't have any document to read. I don't know if I could read. But the thing is, what is going to say to these people? Because Carleen addressed it. She opened it up. Kelvin Daly addressed it. He opened it up. The Premier denied everything. So what are we supposed to listen to? We could read the document, nothing can change. I think it's an insult to the people of Nevis for him to want to address it now. That is what you call putting the ass before the cat before the ass. Because if he gave us a chance in the beginning, we could have made an input. I don't know if he'd have changed anything, but at least he doesn't know how we feel. Now, however we feel doesn't have no meaning because it is God. You see the performance of the Premier and the Prime Minister, and that is the right because we voted for them. All I know, there's going to be a next election. And the next election is not an NRP and a system election in Nevis. It is an election if you're for Nevis or you against Nevis. It's an election if you remember who named Robert Bratcher. It's an election if you know who named Tim Daniel. Because I know, as the old people use the word, they're turning in the grave. This was not to be. And if you want to sell your land and you sell your land, it's your business. I am not ratting with anybody who sell the land. So when I see on Facebook, I say, well, people sell the land and it's private land. We have a step further to go. Is the SSC what is frightening? And that is my concern. And the Premier doesn't need to address it now because he doesn't sign off on it. Good night and goodbye.
Good night. Rowan Isles, as I said, we have heard a lot of discussion, a lot of debate. The most balanced presentation I've heard so far has come from Mr. James Gaskell. He wrote an article which appeared in the St. Kitts Nevis Observer and, of course, on social media. And he started like this. I thought that I had retired and had written my last article for the newspaper. But there is such a stir about the SSZ that I would like to make a balanced contribution. So here is. In the first paragraph, he admits that we have a fragile economy. Sugar is out. Tourism has its challenges. And the CBI program is virtually dead. And those have been our mainstays, sugar, even before independence, and since independence up to 2005. CBI came on stream around 2007 and has met serious headwinds. And he says, understanding this, one can see that a Nevis government might jump at the chance of an outside investor putting many millions into the south of Nevis. It is when you hear what might be proposed that you need to question what exactly that is and how it has come about. Everybody has said that it has been shrouded in secrecy and deception. All we have to do is refer to Carleen Lawrence of July 5th at the community center at Handlers Road. That's all we have to do.
Yeah.
All we have to do is listen to the stories of who got the story first, whether it's wife or him. And so we have this big proposal to take up 2,400 square miles on the south coast.
Acres.
And we are being promised 3 hotels. Sim Daniel brought one in 1991. We haven't had any since. The magician, Mark Brantley, tells us he is bringing 3. Are you frightened? Does it frighten you of what, as Mr. Gaskell said, it is when you hear what might be proposed
that is what is right,
that you need to question what exactly that is and how it has come about.
Yeah, what is frightening for me is what can happen. When you look at it and you do a little research and you get an understanding. You know, see, the fundamental problem here is that this was made out to be, like always, the superficial distraction that it was an issue of private land sale. For me, that was never the issue, because you can't tell people what to do with their land. What struck me early was the 6 square miles. 6 square miles. And I don't, I hope people understand what it means. 6 square miles is a lot of land. That's 1/6 of the total size of the island of Nevis. When you use the term game changer, I took it to mean something positive for the people of Nevis. And if something is a game changer, Steve, one would think that everything that needs to be known will be known. You and I wouldn't have to operate as if we are doing brain surgery to get information, because this is a game changer. You want people on board. You want people to buy in, so you are forthcoming with the information. You are honest. Your accountability levels are up, because this is a game changer. 3 hotels. This means that jobs galore. This is good. It should be good. And if that is the case, then why lie? Why tell a citizen who asks a simple question? But what Carlene did was, when she asked the question, she tug at the nerve. He didn't see that coming then. And he couldn't reveal what the actual mission was. And so, well, she said it's rumored. So let me use that, because he's brilliant at knitting words together. Go read your Bible. He didn't know that in the Bible speaks about asking questions. And everything he sought to deny came full circle in less than 60 days. So from July 5th to August 9th, 10th,
11th was the
legislation passed. You move from something being a rumor and the nation must go and read their Bible, to having a full bill that went to the House like somebody with diary. Just whoosh. I want people to understand how fast that is, and the level of communication that had to have happened between governments for something like that to seamlessly. I mean, we have seen the bromance, but there was no objection of any. And they say, like a thief in the night. They say it, not me. Legislation was passed and gazetted. A rumor, and then, so it was a rumor the 5th and the 6th, and we got to do this thing quickly. So let us go and we put it in the House, and we pass this. The SSZ and the players, there too, are what we should be concerned about. Because the names that keep popping up and related to certain philosophies and ideologies are what we should be concerned about. We have a Belgian, an English, and an American who believe that there is a better way to exist.
Let's take this. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice.
Steve, this is Jam down again. Rohan, when you ain't determined that kind of move as a snake move. You walk it and think it's a Navy's people. The 2 of them, the 2 guys walk it and think it's a Navy. And they seems to feel like you walk. But they walk, man, is another part of that. My family, Steve, you got to go in the parliament, I understand. From Dr. Brown and other QCs, They got to come to the people. And warning Janice to come to Bastia before.
You have to go to the particulars of the bill.
Have a good night.
Yes, and I thank you for that.
So there's certain discourse that has to follow with that. And what I'm looking for is, for now, I mean, as one caller said, it's putting the house before the cat, but the information that we have been asking for should come through those discussions, because we keep hearing, as I said, some names, and there's no full pushback on as to say, well, these names are not part of it and it's not true, but because they know it's true. Mm-hmm. These people have, as I said, have certain ideologies. They don't believe in government interference. Mm-hmm. They believe that individuals should have a right to exist how they want, with minimal interference from government. So when you have that kind of ideology, and I want people to understand that these kinds of, some people say special economic zones, this one says special sustainability zone. And what is interesting is that you've got to understand that there's certain risk that comes with these particular developments. There's the whole issue of a legal crisis. And there is the example of Prospero in Honduras. That is one of those perfect examples, because when you have these kind of, they say enclaves or whatever they want to call them, they often seek to challenge the structure of government, wanting to operate and exist outside of the normal government structure of the host country. And, one of my friends said, anybody ever thought, because you're dealing with individuals, what if one of these citizens of the libertarian enclave commits a crime in the host country and then retreats to the special zone? Mm-hmm. How then do you administer justice when you have a space that has its own port? I mean, one could clearly and easily see how interference can happen in those cases, and that is part of the legal crisis that is normally. I mean, on Friday I asked for shows examples where these sorts of entities have thrived, coexist well with host countries, and I've yet to find one. And we keep going back to Honduras because I think that is the ultimate example that is being used. And the Supreme Court, they having ruled Prospero as being illegal. Now there is a major lawsuit. Imagine the people telling you, listen, we don't want you because your ideologies, your thought processes, and your operations are clashing severely with our way of life. It's time for you to go, and you want now to take everything they have.
Listen. We've been told about Dubai. That's the model. Dubai economic zone is built up on 272 acres. They build up, not across. We hear about China. We hear about Jamaica, but he tells you no stories about Jamaica. He said Cayman Islands have a zone. I went to the Cayman Islands 2 years ago. I know the zone. It's nothing like what he's presenting to the people of Nevis. But when he was asked about Prospero in Honduras, he said, what that got to do with Nevis?
Everything else got something to do with us, though.
Take a listen.
Many Hondurans see Prospero's ability to incorporate land and create its own laws as a threat to the country's sovereignty.
This is like a new form of colonization. It's unfair for foreigners to come to Honduras and build and do whatever they want.
Even though previous Honduran leaders cleared the way for these private cities, the current one has impeded their development and is trying to fully dismantle them. In response, Prospero's mostly American investors are suing Honduras for, get this, almost $11 billion. That's nearly 2/3 of its national budget. How is it not exploitative for mostly American investors to come after such a poor country like Honduras for almost $11 billion?
They're not coming after a poor country. They're coming here to invest, to create jobs.
Since I visited, Prospero's legal future continues to hang in the balance. But here's the thing. What I learned about the fight brewing over this one private city in Honduras gives us a lot of insight into the future of private governance around the world and how local communities could be affected. This is a very simple village, and you're up against this multi-million-dollar project.
It's not fair.
The movement to build privatized cities like Prospero boils down to this idea. What if you could create a city that you run like a business?
Imagine a system in which a private company offers you protection of life, liberty, and property.
Because the startup society is small, it can experiment. You're not a taxpayer, you're a customer.
Around 15 years ago, private city proponents set their eyes on Honduras, one of the poorest countries in Latin America. It had recently undergone a coup that ousted a left-wing president. The new right-wing administration was looking to bring in foreign capital. So in 2013, it passed into law Honduras's version of private cities. They're known as ZEDEs. That's the Spanish acronym for Zones for Employment and Economic Development. 3 ZEDEs were established in Honduras, and the crown jewel is Prospera, here on this touristy island of Roatan. So in late 2023, I went to check it out.
Okay, so we're on our way to what is perhaps the most controversial private city experiment on the planet, and I have a temporary visa on my phone just to get in.
Only around 100 people permanently live in Prospera today, and most of them are Honduran. Another 400 people, mostly foreigners, are e-residents. That means they're able to own property and operate a business in Prospera, but they don't live here full time.
So we made it into Prospera. We passed the private security and the gate over there, and I'm about to meet Jorge Colindres, who's basically the mayor here.
Hi, hello. Welcome to my city.
Jorge is a Honduran attorney. He's also Prospera's technical secretary, which means he runs the place and oversees around 200 companies here.
There's a software company, there's a scuba shop, a Bitcoin center, and there's a bunch of small businesses that are employing people.
Amazing stuff. Frightening stuff.
I mean, she said she had a temporary visa to get into Prospera. People don't understand that when you talk about these private citizens, private cities, they have their own governing structures. I mean, listening to the lady, this guy, a Honduran, the mayor, so to speak, oversees 200 companies in that small space. And it is an exploitation. Honduras was targeted, as was clearly heard there from the clip, and that is what we are trying to avoid here. That we are going back to an era where we were turned against each other because of certain opportunities that turned out not to be so nice. I mean, the reality is they are not coming here or hoping to come here to be neighborly. They understand, they said that they're not taxpayers, they're free citizens. They, as I said, they don't believe in certain governmental structures. The tax regimes are little to nothing, because for them it's bottom line, and to have to access a visa to get into a private city is something.
Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Blessed night to you all. Greetings.
Greetings.
How you are? How did you go forward, Brother Manners?
Well, it was a busy day. We sent a brother home, Meredith Hendrickson. Ironically, he had a very instrumental part to play in land prices in Nevis. When Sim Daniel took office and set up the Nevis Housing and Land Corporation, he held meetings around the island, and at one meeting he asked, how much do you think you could afford for land in your area? Meredith Hendrickson said $6,000 a square foot. And Sim Daniel said, that is it. Per acre, $6,000 per acre. And Sim Daniel used that to enable Nevisians to get land all across the country. Now the pirates are coming again.
The pirates always come around because we still like the Yankee dollar, so we didn't that's why the pirates are around here, because they got all kind of scheme and steam. Anyway, blessed love to you all within the educational pattern, and I would like to just outline that the things that are occurring because these are things that are being applied within planning from a long time. They are just taking the gift now because the people are ill prepared on what these people are really about. And when we say ill prepared, meaning about the educational pattern, how the dominance of these people coming to take away the basic of our resources. Land is a proposition for our people, especially the both Isle of St. Kitts and Nevis, and we still landless. It's still land there. To see that majority of the lands them in the both of the island are privatized is an embarrassment amongst our people. They're not nationalized, they're privatized, especially the one them in Think is where we see over in Southeast. How could you tell me that the first Prime Minister had the initiative to let that area be private to these people, and knowing that our people work so hard to maintain this area here in the Salpan region, and now watching at it, you're talking about tourist attraction. It's a crazy deal we are going on now to impress these people called investors. So I hope that you all take a check in where we have gone wrong and not going to the same boat with that disaster. And I mean it. It's not no time for people to be landless no more.
It's true.
We have to have land not to be dominant, but land to be integrity within our people to share for the next generation. So, you all have a blessed night, brother Manners, and to the brethren.
Yes.
I hope that everything go, and have my idolence, we don't say condolence. Because we not no con artists.
That's right.
Yeah, we're not no con artists around here.
We don't want no con artists. We want idolences to our brothers who have gone to the great beyond, so may everything go with the family safely, and all the Nevis people who have shown respect and love. You have brought, I think, the love.
Yes.
But
Yes.
part within the spiritual element. Respect and love.
Yes.
Part within the spiritual element.
Yeah. Respect. Clock, or just a few minutes after, I want to touch on one more area from Mr. What's his name? Gaskell, James Gaskell. Senior moment there. He said when Four Seasons came to Nevis, they negotiated tax and other concessions with Sim Daniel's government. There were a known quantity, a hotel group of top international repute. We were fortunate to get them. We do not yet know anything about this set of investors.
Amen.
If Mr. Roger Vere is one of them, and the land he purchased in 2021 is part of the 2,000 acres, then plans have been in train for at least 4 years. Now it is inconceivable that outside investors intending to lock up hundreds of millions in this small island would not have had discussions with and demanded a great deal from our government. They would have required a written contract specifying the agreed concessions, exemptions, etc. Why would they commit themselves without it?
I mean,
He's suggesting that this government is locked up and they're in a bind.
And you know, Steve, I said that we hit three cities, I think he said, 3 hotels, and we don't know who
three neighborhoods.
Yeah, 3 neighborhoods, 3 hotels. We don't know who the principals are. What brand of hotel are they coming? What are the sizes? What are the permanent, temporary jobs that are going to be? But it goes back to the question: how did we move from July 5th to August 10th?
Breakneck speed. And I'll give you a surprise.
Gaskell is right on target.
I'll give you a surprise.
With his analogy.
And I'll give the nation a surprise. And when you hear the tape I'm going to play in a minute, I'm sure you'll be convinced. We've been going at breakneck speed. The Premier has spent most of the year trying to get Nevisians to forget about the hospital.
And
you heard the clip that he wants you to forget about the fair share. He was trying to put on the front burner the airport, which is integral to what's happening on the south coast. And this rosy project before the Nevisian people as he speed towards, or he contemplated, an election in December. I know I shocked you.
Oh boy.
So now you know the breakneck speed.
I saw one part of the SEC that said time is of the essence, and I smiled. Interesting part of a bill to have that time is of the essence. But you know, Steve, it's too much a convenience for us to be in the position we are in, void of too much information. We just don't know enough. We have asked a lot of questions. You're not getting answers. I mean, as one friend said to me, we're asking hard questions and we're asking hot questions and getting cold answers.
You can get some of the answers here. Now, Keith Disson, that's Scarborough, who is the host of the town hall meeting at Hanley's Road, and who told Carleen Lawrence on several occasions, please give somebody else the mic. He gave the Premier the mic last Thursday on Government in Action, and the Premier was gushing. Take a listen.
Since that, for 30 years, we've had what I call incremental growth. We need explosive
You hear
growth.
it?
We need growth that takes us to the next level. My ambition, which I know is bold, but is to make Nevis the best place in the world to live
I'm not
and
hearing
work
it
and raise your family.
in.
Right? I have been to Cayman Islands, I've been to Bermuda.
Oh, all right.
I've seen the affluence in some of these islands, and I said, why can't that
Oh,
be
yeah.
in Nevis? Why can't the same thing happen in Nevis? Incidentally, Cayman has a zone as well. But why can't we achieve these things right here on the little island of Nevis? We can with the right vision and the right partners. So I see economic expansion. One of the things about the sustainable zone that many have not paid attention to is that the difference that has been introduced with this legislation is that it has to be sustainable. So it's based on the principles of sustainability. Water, they have to generate their own. Electricity, up to 70% has to be renewable. Waste management, all of these become their responsibilities. Their buildings have to be climate resilient. All of this has been built in. And these developers are telling us, listen, they want green areas, they want to create the kind of environment. I believe that Nivisians, if they ultimately can see the vision, if they can see what is anticipated, then I think the conversation will change. And that is why where I am now is I'm saying the politics will play. You can't avoid that. But let us now start to get information. So I believe that people have gone live on their website, destiny.com. It is up to them, www.destiny.com, because the development is called Destiny. It is up to them, I've said to them, to start to disseminate information. And the government will also engage with the public. So you may find that you're hearing different voices. But the bottom line is that I have a responsibility as the head of government and my colleagues to share information, and they have a responsibility to share information. It is not my job to sell the project. It is my job to give information to the public in terms of where we're going, what we're trying to do. And for all of those who have been lamenting for years that nothing big has come, something big is now coming. So what are we going to do?
Now, mention was made, Honorable, that an oversight committee will be put in place to monitor all aspects of this proposed development. Is there a time frame in which the committee has to be named?
No, and in fact the legislation does not mandate a committee. The legislation at section 9, I think it is, says that the Prime Minister for Development and St. Kitts or the Premier for one in Nevis may put in place a monitoring committee. It is my intention to activate such a committee. But I will be consulting with colleagues so that we can determine how best to go about it. And I will tell you now that it is my intention to invite opposing voices to be part of that as well, provided that they bring something to the table, because this is not just a committee for committee's sake. This has to be people with some technical skills, some people with some knowledge about development, perhaps finance, perhaps economics, who can bring value. So I'm looking very carefully at that, but I do intend to make it as broad as possible so that it has a good representation of Nivisians at home and perhaps even some abroad, wherever I can find the expertise. But it doesn't mandate it, so there's no time frame. But I intend that that should be done to create that level of transparency for which this government has been known. So that is my intention, it's just that we are not there yet.
Okay, great. Now, we now know all that has to be done before this project could commence. If this project is given the green light by all involved, when do you anticipate we could see some activity taking place in that area in terms of clearing of lands, possible construction?
Talk
Based
about
on what the
breakneck
developers are
speed.
saying, they're ready to move now. They're ready to move. They have the resources. They have, other investors who are going to come on board with them in terms of people buying into the project. They're saying they're ready to move. So really it will be a function of the necessary approvals. And then I think once that happens, bearing in mind that no zone can be declared without Parliament.
Yes.
So all that we're saying here, we still have to go back to Parliament to pass this in order for this to become a zone. So there's work still ahead of us. But the people are very serious. They say they've spent a significant sum of money already doing research and all of that. And it seems to me that they're ready to rumble.
Okay, great. You did mention on several occasions a number of steps that must be taken by the developers prior to these proposals being approved. Could you one last time outline those steps for our listening and viewing audience so that they could have a proper understanding?
So listeners and viewers who look, you can look to the legislation. I think that the preconditions are set out in Section 5. So there has to be an economic impact report from a reputable third-party institution. There has to be a social and environmental impact report. There has to be a plan for your infrastructure, a plan for your water, a plan for your healthcare, a plan for your electricity, 70% of which has to be renewable. So it sets out some conditions that have to be satisfied.
Right.
And only when the government is satisfied that these conditions have been met can you be considered as a developer for such a zone. So the legislation itself has built in a number of safeguards or guardrails, as the modern language is, for this kind of development. So they have to satisfy all of those. And then the legislation does not have a requirement in terms of land acreage. So if you have 1 acre of land and you feel you can satisfy those requirements, you can apply to have that 1 acre declared an SSZ. If you have 100 acres, 1,000 acres, 5,000 acres, you can do the same. So the truth of the matter is that while people have been making a lot of noise and saying the legislation encouraging people to sell their land, that is not so. The legislation is not designed for foreigners, it's not designed for locals, it is designed for investors. So whether you're local or foreign, if you're an investor, the legislation is designed to allow you a mechanism. You don't have to choose that mechanism. You can come in and say, well, that is of no interest to me. But for those who want to choose that type of mechanism, it's available through that legislation.
Great. You don't have...
Ron Niles, Premier commandeered the mic. Are you convinced?
Convinced is...
You notice he said you could come with 5,000 acres?
Mm-hmm.
The 2,400 we've been hearing about might be upscaled.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I want people to understand too is that once these zones are established, it gives way to smaller areas, as he would have said. So they can move from 2004 and just pick up another 100 someplace else and another 100 someplace else and have that going. Interesting for him to say him and his cabinet and his government. I mean, there's clearly a gag order in cabinet. Not even the windows can squeak.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't give permission. They speak based on what he wants out in the public.
Well, he took a break last week, suffering from media fatigue, and the Minister of Planning re-emerged after he said a brief illness. He must be asked, what role has the Department of Physical Planning played so far?
Well, we've been asking that question, and the party leader would tell you that they have been excluded from the entire process. Well, there must be media fatigue. He operates as if he's the Chief Communications Officer, the Director of Public Relations, and the Head of Communications all in one for this great proposal. Yet the information that should be flowing to our people isn't flowing. We keep getting the innuendos and the slangs and the jargons and the nice words stringed together to make sentences that hits at your emotion, because who doesn't want progress? But what it is that is behind it and driving it, still we don't know who the major players are. And you're asking us to accept that we...
Let's take this. Good evening. You can be our final caller, so be quick.
Yeah, I'll be very quick. It's me again. Listen, the Premier has promised lots and lots and lots of hotels.
And lots and lots.
So his record is not at all good. However, he niced up with his accent. For me, it's nothing. Good night and goodbye.
Goodbye. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the area of Steve is really, it's really disappointing that this is the path we are taking. When we talk about the theme again for independence and the sustainable future, why is it that we are not, or we have not done more to encourage our young people to become investors at home? Why is it that we have these SSZs at this standard? I mean, you know, he's right when he said it doesn't have to be for you, but what is there for our young people that they can say, listen, 5, 6 of us get together and we can have this particular development in this particular area because these are the concessions that are going to be had by us as young people. That is not being offered by government. But we see the cash cow in the rear view or in the front view or whichever view they have it in. There is no legacy to talk about. That is what this is about. Let us not be sidetracked or blindsided on his way out, because what can he do in the next 5 years he has not done in the last 20 years? He, they, them, whatever pronoun you want to use, are looking for a way to create a legacy that is what speaking of. That is ultimately what this is about. And as the caller before said, I don't care how nice he speak and how many nice words he string together and how many words he use that you may not understand. Understand this. He's not for us.
I guess that's your last word. Tomorrow, of course, is a national holiday, National Heroes Day. Friday, the 42nd edition of our independence.
Happy
anniversary to everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm going to trust Carlisle's judgment, one of the songs he used on his program before this. They're Coming Back Again by King Astro.